Hey there! Silly Story here, bringing you another silly tale for everyone to enjoy. Book 2 of the Billionaire Brotherhood series, 6 Powerful Men. A secret society bound by one vow, success at any cost. They're rich, ruthless, and driven. Though when it comes to love, they're not always as successful. This is the story of Alexander Young and yours truly, Diana Lewis. Young. I was in full rebellion mode. Between the clashes with my father, the tensions with my siblings, and an encounter with a pesky robber, my life was already chaotic enough. Then I met Alex. It happened in the middle of my negotiation with the thief. Out of nowhere, this young man appeared and intervened, saving me but losing my money in the process. Maybe he got tired of my relentless demands to reimburse what I'd lost because of him. His solution? Throw me in jail. He accused me of being part of some major syndicate. Furious, I cursed him. Ironically, I never imagined I'd be in front of a priest, with him at my side. As it turned out, Alex was the man my father had arranged for me to marry. But the real twist? I had to witness him propose to another woman. One look at you, and I forgot I was hurting. One look at you, and I felt alive again, he had said. But at that moment, I wasn't sure if he was talking about me or her. Story begins. I flicked through the cash, my grin widening with every bill. My numbers had finally hit. Easy money at last. I'm a genius, I whispered to myself, eyes gleaming. Soon, I'll be swimming in cash. Watch out, world, my empire's coming. Just wait, Dad. I raise my gaze dramatically to the sky. You'll see my path to riches. Wahaha, don't move. The laughter froze in my throat as something cold pressed into my back. My hands halted midair. Sir, please. I'm just a poor, defenseless woman. Shut up. Hand over the cash. All of it. My grip tightened on the bills, eyes darting for an escape. Why had I left the lottery office early? The place was empty now. Enough talking. Give it up, or I'll kill you. Okay. I lowered my hand, but I couldn't let go. Those numbers had come to me in a dream. My future depended on this money. I needed a plan fast. Suddenly, a voice broke the tension. Hey, what's going on here? A tall figure strode toward us. The robber glanced away for a split second. I moved but not fast enough. He snatched the cash and ran. Hey, you jerk, come back here. I lunged, but a strong arm caught me around the waist. I struggled. Let me go. That's my money. Are you insane? He had a knife. You're safe now. My money isn't. He finally released me. But it was too late. The cash and my future were gone. That guy could have killed you. Is money really worth more than your life? I spun on my so-called rescuer, anger boiling over. Yes, that money was my future. Now what am I supposed to do? He looked exasperated. How is this my fault? I just saved you. Did I ask you to? I don't need saving. I can handle myself. I slapped his chest in frustration. He blocked my hand, only making me angrier. You ruined everything. If not for you, I'd still have my money. He stared, silent. Normally, I might have noticed how annoyingly good-looking he was, but not now. My future was slipping away. If it's so important, why don't you chase him? I won't stop you. Chase him. He's long gone. I stomped my foot. This is your fault. Pay me back $150,000 right now. He shook his head, unimpressed. Are you serious? When he tried to leave, I blocked his car. You're not going anywhere until you pay me back. He snorted. You think I'm falling for this? I'm not an idiot. You're not an idiot, just a busybody. And clearly rich. Look at that car. He sighed, patience running out. Leaning in close, he placed his hands on either side of me, eyes sharp. You think I don't know a scam? Your partner staged the whole thing. Nice try. Won't work. What? That was my money. Listen, miss. I know a con when I see one. I'm Alexander Young Jr. He tapped my forehead. Don't play me. I'm not. Is there a problem here? 2 security guards approached. My chance. There is. This woman's a thief. Alex cut in, stepping back. Arrest her. What? The guards grabbed me before I could finish. I'm not a thief. Let me go. You can explain that at the station. Diana, are you trying to disgrace this family again? My father bellowed. This is the 6th time you've caused trouble, and now we're picking you up from the police station. I ignored the accusing glares from my brothers, focusing instead on the real culprit. Alex, if your brothers hadn't stepped in, you could have been charged with robbery. My father continued, his voice sharp. We're a wealthy family. Diana, You shouldn't be facing accusations like this. Maybe it was thrilling, I muttered, more to myself. I don't know. I just did it. You robbed Alex Young. Noah's disbelief cut through the air. Yeah, felt like it, I replied with a tired shrug. Defending myself had drained me. Their lectures blurred into background noise. I'd had enough of their control since Mom passed away. My father still treated me like a child, and it grated on me. Then he dropped the bombshell. You're marrying Alexander Young's son, as we planned. No, Dad. My brothers protested, shocked. I have no choice, he said, quieter now. You both have families. I'm too old to keep watching over her. I shot up from my seat, rage boiling over. I'm done with this conversation. Sit down. Noah's voice was firm. No, I'm sick of being treated like a puppet. Marriage, business, my life, I'll handle it my way. My voice shook with frustration. My father's tone turned icy. You'll marry Alex, or you'll get nothing. I've already changed my will. My heart sank. You can't do that, Dad. It's Mom's inheritance. Follow my wishes, or you get nothing, he repeated, unyielding. I snapped. That's complete bullshit. My brothers jumped in, demanding an apology. Apologize. You're all just trying to control me. I stormed out, slamming the door behind me. I'm 29. I'm not a little girl anymore. As I got into my car, I muttered, they can't force me into this. My life, my rules. What do you mean you need more time? We had an agreement. Josh's frustration was clear in his voice. I know, Josh, I said, trying to stay calm, but I just need a bit more time. There's a small issue, but I'll sort it out. He shook his head. I'm sorry, Diana. I can't extend it again. You promised you'd pay half this week. I will, I swear. Just give me a little more time. I wish I could, but the owner needs the money fast, and there are other buyers, more persistent ones. Who? I demanded. One of them is Enoch Johnson. I clenched my fists. Just give me 2 more days, please. So, you don't have the money? He asked, suspicion in his eyes. I let out a sigh. If that guy hadn't interfered, this place would already be mine. He paused, then finally said, all right, one last extension only because you're friends with my wife. But this is the absolute last one. Thank you, Josh. I'll pay in 5 days. Make it earlier. If you don't, I'll sell it to Mr. Young. Mr. Young. My mind raced. I thought Enoch was interested. There are 2 buyers, Enoch and Mr. Young. Why not go with Enoch, then? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Because Alex Young's offer is better. Alex. My pulse quickened. Yeah, he owns Young's corporation. They're offering more money. I narrowed my eyes. What do you know about him? Josh chuckled. What doesn't everyone know? He's the heir to the Young fortune, still single, apparently. Every woman's interested in him. Josh, you missed your calling as a reporter. He laughed. Just keep me updated by next week. That's all I can do. One last question. Shoot, what's his full name? Alex. No, I pressed. His real name. Alexander Young. I froze, my heart sinking. Is that all? He glanced at me, confused. Alexander Young Jr. Everything fell into place, and dread washed over me. Miss, where are you going? The receptionist's voice stopped me in my tracks. I turned to face her. I'm here to see Mr. Young. Do you have an appointment? He doesn't want to be disturbed today. Disturb. The nerve of this man. He had turned my life upside down, and I was here to return the favor. I'd lost a fortune, money I planned to use to start my own business. I wasn't letting this go. I don't need an appointment, I replied firmly. But, ma'am, I'm his fiancé. Call him if you don't believe me. The shock on her face was priceless. I smirked and headed for the elevator. I knew exactly where to find him. His secretary confirmed he'd be here today. I wouldn't marry that jerk if my life depended on it. I muttered as the elevator doors closed. The top floor was everything I expected, pure luxury. It screamed wealth, but I wasn't impressed. I had my own money, or I would have if not for him. I approached his office and paused when I heard voices inside. What are you saying, Alex? You know what I mean, Rose. I'm asking you to marry me. A marriage proposal. So, he had a girlfriend, and not just any girlfriend, the most sought-after actress around. I couldn't believe it. She always claimed she was single. Hypocrite. Alex, we've talked about this. I can't accept your proposal. At least not yet. Why not? I have plans I need to fulfill first. I won't be here at that time, Alex said in whisper. What are you saying, babe? Rose chuckled. Of course you'll be here. We'll always be together. I watched them closely. Alex said nothing, just stared out the window. I almost felt bad for him. This was a headline waiting to be written. Bachelor proposes. Actress declines. Then Rose's phone rang. She stepped away to answer, leaving me time to observe. Clearly, her career came first. Alex, that was my agent. I need to go. Press conference. As she walked past me, We locked eyes. Oops. Who are you? She asked, irritation in her voice. I straightened, keeping my cool. I need to speak with Mr. Young. Alex. Why? Because he owes me. She rolled her eyes. He's busy. I almost laughed. You'd better hurry. Don't want to be late, do you? She gave me a nasty look but walked out. I shook my head, giving up her career for love. Not likely. Didn't I have you jailed? Why are you still here? Alex's cold voice cut through my thoughts. I turned to face him. I'm here to talk, not fight. He leaned against the door frame, arms crossed, watching me closely. For a moment, I felt a flicker of unease but pushed it away. We're done talking? The station handled everything. You were done. I wasn't. You owe me. Oh, you. His smile was bitter. You had me jailed for nothing. You were guilty. I wasn't. I forced myself to stay calm. You owe me money? I don't want cash, just leave Haven's place alone. Why should I? Because I'll tell the media that Rose rejected you. His expression darkened, but I didn't flinch. Say one word, and you won't like what happens. You think you can scare me? He stepped closer, towering over me. His presence was overwhelming, but I refused to back down. Not scared, he whispered. I could show you what fear really looks like. I stood my ground. Leave Haven's place alone, and I'll leave you alone. Keep talking, and you'll regret it. Before I could respond, an older man walked in with Rose. Clearly, she came back. The older man looked just like Alex's father, no doubt. So, you've met. Looks like fate is on our side. We should plan the wedding. What? Dad, don't you think it's too soon? Alex looked confused, looking at his dad and me. Nonsense. Hadn't I told you before? If you didn't find a bride within 5 years, I'd arrange one myself. 5 years have already gone. It was even extended for another 4 years. That's already too much freedom, young man. Diana, your father and I made this arrangement long ago. I blinked. My dad agreed to this. We are excited to have grandchildren, but if you're not ready, just get to know each other first. Alex draped an arm around me. We've known each other for a while, Dad. Don't worry, we'll marry soon. Wonderful. I'll call Miguel, my father. No way. Rose heard everything. She looks furious. So, this was Alex's plan. Well, two could play that game. I want Haven's place, I whispered, or I'll make things very uncomfortable for you. I sat in Alex's office, tapping my foot impatiently. He stared at me, silent and brooding. Are we just going to have a staring contest? If you're going to waste my time, you might as well pay for it. Is money all you ever think about? He asked, his tone dripping with annoyance. Should I be more concerned with saving the world? I shot back, standing up. If you have nothing worthwhile to say, I'm leaving. Goodbye, Redstone. He raised an eyebrow. Why did you agree to this marriage, Diana? What? I blinked, caught off guard. Are you that bored with your life? Is that a question for me? Or a reflection on your own misery? I countered. I'm asking you. He clarified, his voice colder. Simple. Money? I don't even like you. I rolled my eyes. Good. The feeling's mutual, he said, his expression hardening. Then why did you agree to this arrangement? I pressed. He exhaled slowly. I can't disappoint my father. His heart condition. I won't take that risk again. We'll get married, pretend for a year, then split. Our parents will think we gave it a shot. But it didn't work. I crossed my arms. And what's in this for me? He leaned back. What do you want? No interference in my life. And I want the Haven's place property. He shook his head. Business is business. I can't give you that. I smirked. Then I'll let the media know about your failed proposal to Rose. His eyes narrowed dangerously. Stay out of my personal life. Or what? You always want things your way. At least try showing a little consideration to your fiancé. I shot back, turning toward the elevator. He watched me walk away, frowning. As the elevator doors slid closed, I couldn't resist one last jab. You're so arrogant, that's why Rose rejected you. Serves you right. I stuck my tongue out at him. Blah! The doors closed, and I smiled to myself. You look stunning, Miss Diana, like a true princess. The makeup artist gushed. I barely glanced up, scribbling furiously in my notebook. Today was my wedding day to Alexander Young Jr., and I had priorities. Namely, listing every condition for our so-called marriage. Alex had agreed to hand over the Haven's Place property. But who knew why? He had his reasons, I had mine. I won't tie your hair up. It's too beautiful to hide, she added. Do what you like, I muttered, still writing. I want my own room strictly off limits. No touching my things. That means no borrowing my spoon, plate, towel, toothbrush, pillow, blanket. My pen paused. Blouse, panties, or bra. I grinned. What would Alex think of that? Probably nothing. The man was as expressive as a brick wall. The artist finished, and I stood to pace, adding more demands to my list. Movement in the doorway caught my eye. There he was, leaning casually against the frame, tuxedo perfectly tailored, eyes locked on me. His serious stare made the room feel smaller. Well, I broke the silence, pretending his presence didn't make my pulse quicken. The groom isn't supposed to see the bride before the wedding, he replied, arms crossed. Never heard of it. His silence stretched, and I resisted the urge to fidget. Why are you here? Backing out. Fine by me, as long as Haven's place stays mine. I'm not backing out. I was making sure you wouldn't run away like last time. He smirked. You already got what you wanted, as I deserve. His stare didn't waver. What's your problem? Need the bathroom? It's not in here, by the way. I'm just curious about. Didn't know animals could wear white dresses and veils? My jaw dropped. Excuse me. Are you calling me? See you at the altar, darling. He turned on his heel and walked off. I glared at his retreating back, my teeth grinding. Oh, he did not just say that. Without thinking, I kicked off my shoe and hurled it. It hit him squarely in the back. Bullseye? He turned, irritation flickering across his face. But his voice remained maddeningly. It's our wedding day, Diana. I won't entertain your nonsense. Dream on while you can. Jerk, I spat, fuming. For a fleeting moment, I considered running. But my family's lectures echoed in my head. And there was Alex's father and his fragile heart. I wasn't a villain. Not today. Fine. Alexander Young Jr. You have no idea what you're in for. I'd make sure of it. The driver knocked gently. Ma'am, the car is ready. The groom's already left. Great. I glanced around. Just need to find my shoe. You look lovely, dear. My father whispered as we entered the church. I nodded, barely hearing him. Each step reminded me of my missing shoe, mocking me with every limb. Alex, this was all his fault. If he hadn't gotten under my skin earlier, I wouldn't be hobbling down the aisle like this. My father's voice cut through my frustration. Your mother would be so proud. The whispers in the crowd swelled. Cameras clicked. Reporters watched. Screw it. I took off my remaining shoe. She lost her shoe. Bad luck for the couple. I sighed, considering going back for it when the bus shifted. Alex appeared calm, regal, completely unfazed by the chaos. My missing shoe was in his hand. Had he been hiding it all along? Gasps rippled through the room. Like a fairy tale. He knelt in front of me, sliding the shoe onto my foot. Our eyes locked. His smile was flawless. Too flawless. It was all for show for the cameras. And his father? I was sure of it. See you at the altar, he murmured. I was shocked, but recovered fast. Two people can play this game. I smiled sweetly, fingers trailing along his cheek. Wait for me. He froze, eyes narrowing just a bit. Gotcha, I thought. Game on, Alex. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, still stunned by my new title, Mrs. Diana Young. After pulling on my pajamas, I grabbed my marriage rules list and walked into the room. Alex was on the floor, doing push-ups in a t-shirt and sweats. I slapped my cheek, trying to clear my head. When he noticed me, I sat on the bed, but quickly jumped up when he joined me. No sharing the bed, I said firmly. Agreed, he said, tossing my list aside and spreading a blanket on the floor. You're the man, sacrifice something. I shot back. Equality. It's a thing now, he smirked. Frustrated, I lay down on the far side of the bed, glaring at him. Eventually, he turned his back. I move in my sleep, he muttered. Nice try, I grumbled, not falling for it. A few moments later, I felt his back pressing against mine. I jolted upright. Did I wake you? He teased. I tried to push him off, but we ended up wrestling for space, and I fell to the floor. Ouch, I groaned. Alex grinned. Want another round? I muttered, totally defeated. Good night, wife, he said smugly. As he lay there, peacefully asleep, I found myself inching closer to him. His warmth felt too inviting. Just once, I thought, resting my hand on his back. The comfort washed over me, and I drifted into the best sleep I'd had in years. I woke up feeling surprisingly light and comfortable, only to realize I was lying on Alex's chest, his arm wrapped around me. Panic surged through me, but I stayed still, soaking in the warmth. I couldn't help but notice how peaceful he looked, a bit of stubble on his face giving him a rugged charm. But then he stirred and woke up. Our eyes met, and we both quickly pulled away, our faces red with embarrassment. Why are you in my bed, Mrs. Young? He asked, his voice laced with surprise. Did you crawl in while I was asleep? Hey, no proof. I shot back. Maybe you carried me here. Why would I do that? Who knows? After a long pause, he shrugged. Well, I'm a kind person. Fine, you can sleep here in my bed. No way, I snapped. Give me my own room. The only other room is a storage room. A storage room? You don't have a guest room. I don't do guest rooms. You're the only one I've allowed in here. Frustrated, I muttered. Why did I agree to marry you? Alex smirked. Wasn't it for the money? I was about to fire back when he brushed a lock of hair from my face. What are you doing? I asked, confused. Do you always look like this in the morning? Yes, I swatted his hand away. Just because I married you doesn't mean I'll change to please you. Remember, this relationship only lasts a year. Cute, he said, pinching my cheek. I couldn't respond. Alex had already walked off to the bathroom. I touched my cheek where he'd pinched me. It wasn't painful, just a light graze. Was this his version of a morning greeting? It was oddly endearing, especially coming from someone I used to consider my enemy. My phone buzzed. It was my dad. Good morning, sweetheart. How are you? I'm fine, Dad, I replied, the edge of resentment still lingering in my voice. I saw your wedding on the news. It was lovely. Glad it was worth your effort. A heavy pause hung in the air. Sweetheart, I believe you're in good hands now, he said, his tone more serious. How would you know? I snapped. Have you lived with Alex? Diana, my husband's calling. Gotta go. Okay. I'll be in New York for a while. I'll call you. Sure. Safe travels. I hung up, staring at the phone. Would this rift ever heal? Probably not. Alex emerged from the bathroom, towel wrapped around his waist. Who called? He asked. My dad. He called last night too. You were asleep, so I answered. Did he mention New York? Yeah. I trailed off, distracted by him, towel barely hanging on. Mind not walking around like that. You're messing with my head. I'm wearing shorts underneath. He dropped the towel, revealing floral board shorts. I screamed, disappointed. I'll throw you off the bed, I shouted, grabbing a pillow. He grinned. Mess with my mind anytime, Mrs. Young. I threw the pillow at him and stormed out. I stormed into Alex's office fuming. Why did you buy the Havens place? That was supposed to be mine after the wedding. Diana, it's too early for a fight, Alex said, his voice calm as always. Don't call me wife when I'm this angry. I slammed my bag down on his desk. Why interfere, Alex? That place was supposed to be for me, I demanded. Alex sighed, not at all phased. My company needs it. I need it more. I shot back. It's for my business. What kind of business? A restaurant, I snapped. You ruined my capital for it. Alex paused, thinking for a moment. You don't have to work, you know. After the divorce, you'll get a large sum. I want something I worked for, I said firmly. Proving something to others. Maybe, I admitted. He handed me a contract. Sign this. The Havens place is yours on one condition. If you fail, I take it back. I scanned the contract. No catch. But I couldn't stay mad at Alex. He was giving me a chance to prove myself. That was enough to make me forgive his past mistakes. I took the papers, reading through them. Everything seemed to be in my favor. I glanced up at Alex, who had already returned to his work. He gave me a chance to prove myself. He listened to me. He treated me like an equal. It was everything I'd ever wanted from the people I cared about but had never received. I don't like being watched while I'm working, Alex said, lifting his gaze. Do you need anything else, wife? Nothing, husband. Carrying the papers, I sat on the visitor's couch to sign them. Wife, husband, those were strange titles for us. But as I thought about it, it didn't sound so bad. Foolish maybe, but nice. Don't forget, wife. You're a young now, not a Lewis. Alex's voice broke through my thoughts. I turned to see him sitting beside me, handing me another copy of the papers. I knew you'd make a mistake, so I added an extra copy. He took the signed papers from me, shaking his head. Get used to being Mrs. Diana Young. A year is a long time. I didn't know why, but I stared at him instead of the papers. He looked different somehow, and I couldn't seem to stay angry anymore. What had happened to me? When he met my gaze again, I snapped back to reality. Where do I sign again? I asked. He pointed to the bottom of the papers. I'll go now, I said, standing. Okay. We both stood, and it felt strange how we were acting, almost like we'd slipped into a different version of our relationship. But I was more surprised when Alex followed me out of his office. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just walking you to the elevator. You might get lost. Your office takes up the whole floor. How could I get lost? Who knows? Maybe there's a ghost around here. What? Never mind, we're here. He pressed the elevator button. Don't complain. It's a good thing I'm walking you. And you're waiting for a thank you. I'm not expecting it. I know how to thank people. Just that, if the price is right. Thanking people has a price. Sometimes. I stepped into the elevator as the doors opened. Thank you. There, it's free. See, I can be generous too. Alex smiled and waved. Take care, wife. That smile was what I carried with me as the doors closed. I leaned against the cold steel wall, a smile playing on my lips. You look foolish now, Diana, I muttered to myself, smiling for no reason. But then, that voice in my head responded. What no reason? Ah, yes, there was a reason. And the reason was the man I thought I'd never get along with. My husband. I spent the whole day overseeing renovations at Haven's place, feeling both exhausted and satisfied with the progress. I had big plans like adding a small garden and waterfall, and I was talking it over with Lou, my landscape artist, when Alex suddenly appeared in the doorway. What are you doing here? I asked, caught off guard. Checking on you. It's past 6, he replied. I glanced at my watch and was surprised by how late it had gotten. Oh, time flies when you're working. You've made great progress, Alex commented. I showed him around, pointing to different sections of the project. Here's the bar, and over there's the smoking area. Have you eaten? He interrupted. Just some pasta. What do you think of that chandelier? Too much. Aren't you going home? He asked, his tone casual. Soon, I said. I just need to give a few more instructions. Before I could finish, Alex grabbed my clipboard, tossed it aside, and pulled me toward his car. Alex, my work isn't done yet. Night is for resting. There's always tomorrow, he said, his voice firm but not unkind. In the car, I started going through receipts, but my exhaustion made it hard to focus. I can't afford to slow down. Everything's delayed. Alex didn't respond, just kept driving. The silence stretched out, and I found myself yawning repeatedly. Talk to me, Alex. It's too quiet. You're tired, he said simply. I'm fine, I mumbled, my eyes growing heavy. Without a word, he gently guided my head onto his shoulder. Just sleep, wife. I'm not sleepy, I whispered, but my words trailed off as I drifted into unconsciousness. Okay, wife, Alex said softly, his voice the last thing I heard before I fully succumbed to sleep. I woke up late, my eyes immediately drawn to the empty side of the bed. Did we sleep next to each other again? I wondered. The bed was neatly made, with no sign of Alex's presence, except for a faint trace of his scent lingering on the pillow. I sighed, shaking my head. You look foolish, Diana. Alex hadn't insisted on sharing the room since that first fight. He had been giving me space. And you know what? That was probably for the best. I hugged the pillow, comforted by the thought. He's a good man. He supported my restaurant, pulled me out of work to make sure I was okay. He cares. My father's absence flickered through my mind, but I quickly pushed it aside. Whatever. I have my own life now. It was Saturday, and I wanted to spend time with Alex, like a newlywed couple. I dressed carefully, hoping to look good for him though. Honestly, I wasn't entirely sure why. When I stepped outside, I saw Alex and his friends on the veranda. As soon as he looked at me, a wave of shyness hit me. The good kind of shy. He looked at me like I was the most beautiful woman in the world in that moment, and I couldn't stop the satisfied smile that crept onto my face. One of the guys, Elijah, greeted me. You must be Alex's wife. Just got married, Elijah. Who else would be in my house? Alex teased, causing the twins to laugh. I could tell they were up to something, so I stayed cautious. Relax, Mrs. Young, they said. We won't mess with Alex. Elijah grinned, teasing, if you ever get bored of Alex, send him back to his parents. I know some great guys. He introduced himself as Elijah Gray and pointed to the twins, Hayden and Henry Hall. We were all chatting casually when Elijah suddenly suggested I model for his company's perfume ad. Before I could respond, Alex spoke up. She's not a model, he said firmly. I felt a flash of offense. What? I'm not pretty enough for your commercial. I shot back. The twins laughed and suggested Rose as an alternative, which only made me more upset. Alex quickly explained, I only said that because you're busy with the restaurant. The awkward tension hung in the air, and Elijah, sensing the discomfort, decided to back off. We'll talk about it later, he said. Hayden stepped in, telling Elijah to leave it alone. Frustrated, I walked away. I wasn't angry with Alex for stopping me, but I didn't like that he made the decision for me. I needed space to think. Are we still in our country? I asked, staring out the window. It had been a while since I'd seen a house or even a person. All I could see was dense forest on both sides of the narrow road. It feels like we've crossed into another dimension, I thought. Could this be some kind of time warp zone? We're still in Wisconsin, Alex answered, chuckling. The reason you haven't seen any houses is because we are on private property, the Bliss Horizon. Everything here, even the insects, belongs to me, and 5 of my friends. Really? You're serious? I asked, incredulous. I'll answer that in my next life, Alex replied, still amused. I couldn't help but smile. Yes, I was traveling with Alex now. He was driving, and I was watching the world pass by outside, lost in my thoughts. I had expected him to avoid speaking to me after our tense days at home. But last night he'd started talking again, telling me he'd take me to the Bliss Horizon one week. Everyone wants to meet you, he had said. His friends wanted to meet me, so they invited me to attend James Williams' birthday party. I had also decided to decline Elijah's offer. Not that I had seriously considered it, but I was too busy with the restaurant, as Alex had pointed out. Plus, I wanted to end the cold silence between us. I missed talking to him. When Alex mentioned the Bliss Horizon, I decided to go along with it, especially since it seemed like it would change the atmosphere between us. How did you end up here, Alex? I asked. This place is crazy. Look at this dense vegetation. We can barely see any sunlight. It feels like the setting for one of those horror movies. You sure have a wild imagination, Alex replied, honking a horn as he made a sharp turn. I've got 4 friends and Adam. My cousin, you've met him. We consider ourselves like brothers. We come here to get away from everything and everyone. Plus, most of the horses we keep are sensitive to noise. So we try to keep things as quiet as possible. Anyway, the Bliss Horizon was built just for us. And here we are. We made another turn, and suddenly, a huge marble sign for the Bliss Horizon appeared before us. The eerie, dense forest was replaced by wide open land, dotted with a few scattered trees and plants. I could see 2 large race tracks, enclosed by white wooden fences, and a long stable. Several Western-style houses were visible in the distance. Who owns all of this? I asked, looking at the properties. They belong to the 6 of us, Alex said. There are lodging houses, where we stay when we come here. But the most impressive structure was the main house. It had a mix of brown, gold, and white hues, and I found myself more captivated by the horses, which looked as if they were soaring through the air. They're beautiful, I exclaimed. Alex, can you do that too? It's our guilty pleasure, he replied. None of us can't ride. Wow, that's amazing, I said, truly impressed. Hey, here come the newlyweds. Someone called from the wide lobby. I looked up and recognized Adam and Hayden, along with some others I assumed were their families or girlfriends, although, knowing Alex's circle, they could easily be flings. But they all shared one thing in common. They were wealthy. How's married life? One of the men asked. You seem to be doing well. Don't start, cousin, Alex replied, laughing. Where's James? Alex asked. Why? Another man, who had just arrived with a gorgeous brunette, questioned. James, happy birthday, Alex called out. Lo, happy birthday to you, James joked. Why didn't you tell us you were getting married? None of us, except for your cousin, could even make it. Sorry, it all happened so suddenly, Alex apologized. Shotgun wedding, James teased. Doesn't seem like it. You look pretty content with your marriage. He then turned to me. You must be the new wife. I extended my hand. Hi, I'm Diana Lewis. Diana Lewis Young, Alex corrected firmly. The sound of my full name left a pleasant warmth in my chest. Diana Young, I repeated with a smile, and I saw a small, proud grin spread across Alex's face. Nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Young, James said, shaking my hand. This is my wife, Ava. Ava immediately pulled me into a hug, clearly excited to meet me. We've been hearing a lot about you from Elijah. Looks like someone has a crush on your wife, Alex. I hope he falls off his horse, Alex joked, and the group laughed. From there, Alex introduced me to everyone, Hayden, Henry, Adam, James, and Elijah. They were all kind and playful, making me feel welcomed, especially when they congratulated me on my wedding to Alex. But things shifted when Rose arrived, looking stunning in her riding gear. A pang of jealousy shot through me as I noticed Alex's gaze linger on her. She congratulated him on his marriage, and their handshake left me feeling uneasy. I couldn't help but wonder if Rose was the one Alex had always planned to be with. 1 pineapple juice, please, I ordered from the bartender, trying to focus on something other than the group of people Alex was with. I couldn't help but distance myself from them. They were talking about horses and games, and it made me feel out of place. What bothered me most, though, was seeing Alex with Rose. I could feel the jealousy rising inside me. Unsure of my own feelings, I couldn't shake the thought that I had somehow messed up their relationship, even though I wasn't entirely sure how. As I stood there, 3 women approached me and immediately began insulting me. They claimed I had stolen Alex from Rose, and that I wasn't good enough for him. I stood silent, guilt washing over me. Just as I was about to leave, another woman stepped in to defend me. Hey, is it true you're the one Alex married and not Rose? She asked, glancing at me. I didn't answer, my mind focused on leaving this place and heading back to Illinois. If you're the one Alex married, well, that's actually good, the woman continued. I never thought Rose was right for him anyway. She's too stiff. Alex needed someone with more life, someone who wasn't boring to be around. You have that spark. I guess that's what he saw in you. What's your name? One of the other women scolded her. Eloise, don't say that. Rose might hear you and it'll hurt her feelings. Eloise turned to face them with a defiant smirk. Since when did I care about anyone's feelings except mine and Adam's? You're all more concerned about Rose's feelings than how Diana feels. And she hasn't done anything to you. She interfered in Alex and Rose's relationship. One of them said, and what's it to you? You're not even friends with Rose, Eloise snapped. You're probably just jealous of Diana because Alex doesn't pay attention to you. Now you're mad because he married her. The other women had no response, and Eloise, clearly satisfied, took a step closer to them. Let's go, girls. We don't want to catch whatever is contagious in your cheap attitudes. She turned back to me. You know, the Bliss Horizon is huge. Our land's bigger. But this place is big enough that no one would find you if I decided to make you disappear. Yeah, right, one of them muttered. Wanna test me? I'm rich. I can even buy the law, Eloise said, sizing them up. How much are you worth, huh? How much are you three worth? They walked off without saying a word. Ha, those women were nothing, Eloise said, shaking her head. They're just interlopers. Don't talk to them, or you might end up like them. The whole atmosphere here is disgusting, like the atmosphere of the poor. I couldn't help but laugh at Eloise's arrogance. She was so full of herself, it was almost comical. But she was honest and direct, and she had defended me. Thanks, I said. No problem, she replied. But next time, don't let people walk all over you, especially not in front of me. It stresses me out. Sorry, I apologized. I wanted to say something, but I didn't feel like arguing. Why? I smiled, the bartender bringing over my drink. You mentioned earlier you didn't like it here. So why are you here? Eloise's eyes lit up as she looked across the room. My destiny is here. I followed her gaze and realized she was looking at Adam, Alex's cousin. My brothers are also here, Eloise added, clearly disdainful of the Hall twins. If it weren't for Adam, I wouldn't even be here. The guys are fine, but I can't stand the women. Except for my dear friend Ava, of course. Others act like they're special just because they have millions in the bank. But most of them have no manners. She paused. Oh, I haven't introduced myself. I'm Eloise Hall. I'm also the richest person here. I laughed at her boldness. I'm Diana, not as rich as you. That's okay. At least you're nice. I watched your wedding on social media, by the way. It was cute, especially when Alex put your left behind shoe on for you. That was a unique moment. Kinda sweet. I smiled, though the memory of that moment made me feel conflicted. That was the day I took Alex from the woman he loved. I had no idea how to escape this place, this feeling. That's why I'm curious, Eloise continued. Why'd you let your husband stay around Rose? Aren't you worried she might take him from you? She's definitely up to something with him. She has every right to, I said quietly. Because Alex is hers, after all. Eloise looked at me, puzzled. What are you talking about? She doesn't have any claim on him anymore. He married you. It's not that simple, Eloise, I muttered, glancing over at them. They were still talking, and something twisted in my chest. I interfered in their relationship. They didn't end up together because of me. I see. Well, not really, but I get it. Love is complicated, Eloise said. Then she leaned forward, her tone serious. Do you love Alex, Diana? That was easy to answer. Yes, but if only it were that simple to explain everything that had happened to me, the way I had fallen for a man who, in some ways, was still hers. When Alex and I arrived at the rest house for James' birthday celebration, the first thing he casually mentioned was that there was only one room and one bed. I don't do guest rooms in any of my properties, he said without a care. My frustration flared up instantly. Once again, I felt like I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. When Alex suggested we share the bed, I reluctantly offered to sleep on the floor. But he wouldn't have it. He insisted I take the bed. I joked about the time we'd shared a bed before, recalling that sleepwalking incident, and Alex teased me about it, as usual. In the end, he settled for the sofa while I stayed in the room, my thoughts swirling with irritation and unresolved feelings. Before he left, Alex casually mentioned a match at the racetrack with his friends, handing me his card to cover any expenses. I accepted it, but my mind couldn't focus on anything other than the jealousy gnawing at me, especially toward Rose. I tried to ignore it, but the feeling lingered, making it impossible to think straight. Just as Alex was about to leave, I called out before I could stop myself, my voice betraying me. My stomach hurts, I blurted out, desperate for him to stay. I hated that I liked, but it was the only excuse I could come up with in the moment. The Bliss Horizon has a clinic with full facilities. Are you sure you don't want me to take you there? Just to be sure your stomach's all right. It could be something more serious, Alex asked, concern in his voice. I'm fine, I reassured him, grateful to be staying in the lodging house with him. This was my chance to deal with my little lie. Maybe the pineapple juice I had earlier didn't sit right with me when we arrived. That's probably why I'm feeling off. I was lying in bed now, Alex taking care of me, though I still had the audacity to act weak. I've already taken some medicine. I'll just wait for it to kick in. Why'd you drink pineapple juice on an empty stomach? He asked, sounding a bit puzzled. I don't know. It was just a whim, I replied, trying to sound nonchalant. His fingers moved gently through my hair, then shifted to my cheek, where he lightly pinched me. I hope you've learned your lesson. Ouch! Why'd you pinch me? Just a whim, he said with a playful grin. I laughed, feeling the warmth of his affection. Alex was beside me, lovingly stroking my hair as I nestled comfortably against his chest. I felt better, almost like nothing could hurt me as long as he was by my side. It was a strange thought, but even if I had cancer right then, I thought I might not feel the pain with Alex there. Aren't your friends going to look for you? I asked. No, he replied. They'll probably be glad to have one less competitor. I like your friends. They're all nice. You're the only one who says that. Most women I meet here say we're all handsome. You're not that full of yourselves, are you? No, he said, his voice teasing. But it's true, isn't it? My guess, I said, trying to hide my smile. They'll be mad if they find out you're denying that truth about us. Are you not mad? No, he said confidently, because I know I'm handsome enough for your eyes. I was caught off guard. I've always caught you looking at me, Diana. Don't think I didn't notice. Oh my God. I tried to shift away, but he stopped me, trapping me in his arms. Being lying down made it even harder to escape. Where are you going? Aren't you sick? Stay put. I'm fine now, I stammered, trying to wiggle free. He didn't let me go. You don't like confrontations, do you? Fine, I'll give you a break. But next time, Diana, be ready because I'm not letting you go until you tell me the truth. What do you mean? I asked, my voice soft. Nothing, he said, pulling me back to his chest. Let's just stay like this for a while. Okay, I'm starting to feel sleepy. And for a while, Alex was all mine. I thought there was nothing more I could ask for. I was happy with him. The year we had together was still so new, just a week into our marriage, and I promised myself I'd make the most of every day with him. I joined Alex as he groomed his horse, Midnight a stunning Frisian. After dinner, he'd taken me to the stable behind his house, showing me the horse, and joking about how marketable Midnight was. When Alex offered me a ride, I hesitated. I wasn't a fan of heights, but something about the way he asked made me want to try. Watching him ride had been mesmerizing, and for a moment, I wished we could stay in the simple, quiet world, just the two of us, free from the weight of everything else in our complicated lives. Despite my fear, I accepted his hand and climbed onto Midnight with him. As Alex gently guided the horse, I began to relax, his warmth against my back sending a shiver down my spine. His voice was soft, filled with something I couldn't quite understand, but it made my heart race. Then, a strange shiver ran through me as I felt Alex's breath close to my ear. His arms wrapped around my waist while he held the reins, and I felt the weight of his chin on my shoulder. My heart raced even faster. This is my other world, Diana, he said softly. The one without limits, without boundaries. A place where I'm free to go anywhere, do anything. This is where I find true happiness. With your horse, I asked, my voice unsure. I heard him chuckle, and then his lips brushed my shoulder. With you, I blinked, momentarily thrown off guard. What is this? Some kind of romance series on TV? Like, Diana, he interrupted, his voice low and serious. Sorry, I muttered, feeling a little embarrassed. Did you hear what I said? He asked. I had, but my heart was pounding so loudly that I wasn't sure if I'd heard him correctly. It didn't matter though. I was happy with what I'd heard, whether it was real or just a dream. As long as Alex was here with me, everything felt right. I hugged my legs, sitting on the bench as the cold morning air nipped at me while I watched the sunrise. The lake was serene, the stillness beautiful, but my mind kept drifting back to the night before. Alex had shown me a side of his world I wasn't sure I fully understood, and after hours of writing Midnight, my legs ached. The sky had been stunning at night, but maybe it was just the fact that I was with him that made everything feel so perfect. I smiled to myself, recalling the moment by the lake when Alex had almost kissed me, only for Midnight to get restless and ruin it. But if he tried again, I wasn't sure how I'd react. Good morning. Mrs. Young Alex joined me on the bench, setting a cup of coffee between us. Pretty, isn't it? Yes. You woke up early? Didn't sleep well? Not really. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Why, didn't you feel that way in Illinois? I don't know. I shrugged. Maybe it's because we get along better here. Alex looked at me, his gaze thoughtful. I'm just not used to having someone here. That made me feel oddly pleased. So, no woman had ever stayed at his house before, not even Rose. I noticed you don't have guest rooms. Is it because you don't like company? I don't like chaos, he replied simply. I like things simple. We're the same, then, I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. Except I don't really have my own place. I still live with my dad. Speaking of your father, have you talked to him lately? Alex asked. I looked out at the lake, trying to keep my voice steady. He hasn't called since he left for New York. I wasn't expecting him to. Why not call him first? You seem like you want to talk to him. I fell silent for a moment, gathering my thoughts. I don't want to bother him. He's your father. He'll want to hear from you, Alex said gently. My father's not like that. I hugged my arms around myself, trying to ward off the chill. The real reason I agreed to the marriage wasn't for me, but to prove something to my family. Since my mom died, I've felt like a burden to them. A rebel. Alex teased. I wasn't rebelling. They just never gave me a chance to stand on my own. They still see me as a teenager. They arranged my marriage without asking how I felt. If you were so against it, why didn't you say something? They didn't listen. I didn't want to waste my time. If my mom were still here, she wouldn't have let them marry me off like this. She'd have let me decide, even if I failed. She taught me to fight. So, why didn't you fight for your choice of husband? I was after the money. I thought I could use it to show them I could handle things. I'd prove it with the restaurant. No words needed. Alex sighed. I understand you now. Maybe your family just doesn't get it. I nodded, feeling a weight on my chest as I thought about my father. I wasn't a child anymore, but arguing with him felt endless. I'll talk to him when he gets back from New York, I said quietly. What about you, Alex? Didn't you get angry when your father forced you into marriage? At first, I was angry. It wasn't fair, but I let it go. And then it wasn't so bad. Didn't you feel it was an intrusion? I was old enough to make my own choice. If I didn't agree, they'd understand. And honestly, I wanted to. It's only a year after all. I smiled at that. A year. I could live with that. I could be happy with him for now. Can I have some coffee, husband? I'm freezing here. Alex grabbed a cup, sat beside me, and wrapped his arms around me. Better. Much. I relaxed into his warmth. You're right, Mrs. Young. Life could be good sometimes. I loved him. And maybe even after a year, he wouldn't be replaced in my heart. Just then, a loud cough interrupted our moment. I turned to see Rose standing in the doorway. I've been calling outside, she said. Sorry, did I interrupt something? No, Alex said, standing up. By the way, you two haven't introduced yourselves, have you? Rose, this is Diana. We've already met, Rose interrupted, her tone sharp. Alex, sorry, but I want to continue our session at the racetrack. I grabbed Alex's hand, my voice pleading. Don't go, Diana, don't go, I insisted. Are you still sick? He asked, concerned. I shook my head. Just don't go. Rose raised an eyebrow. We need to finish practicing. Alex sighed, torn between the two of us. Diana, perfect timing. Elijah greeted me as I reached the main building. The crew is here for the Timeless Essence perfume commercial dry run. But first, I need to see you ride a horse. Don't know how to ride, I admitted. Hasn't Alex taught you yet? I glanced toward the outdoor arena, where Alex was busy coaching Rose. He's a bit preoccupied with someone else. No worries, I'll teach you. Elijah grabbed my arm, his enthusiasm unshaken. Come on, let's go. As we made our way to the arena, we ran into the Hall twins. Are you eloping with Diana? One of them teased. Of course not, Elijah shot back. Just helping her learn to ride. We're heading to the dressage arena. Their playful banter continued as we walked. But my thoughts kept drifting. Why had Alex volunteered for the commercial shoot if he had been so reluctant before? At the arena, Elijah introduced me to his horse, Beast. Don't worry, he's reliable. I've ridden Alex's horse before, I assured him. Perfect. Let's get you up there. Elijah moved behind me, ready to give me a boost. I'll help you on. Before I could react, a familiar voice echoed across the arena. Elijah, get your hands off my wife. Alex's tone was unmistakably possessive, and I couldn't help but smile to myself. Is this what you want, Diana? To drive a wedge between friends? Rose's voice sliced through the tension as I watched Alex and Elijah arguing nearby. You've always brought chaos here, she continued, her words dripping with disdain. Even Eloise got tangled up with other guests because of you. I remained silent, my eyes fixed on the heated exchange between Alex and Elijah. Rose smirked, her voice sharp. It's clear you and Alex don't belong together. You're always causing him trouble. Maybe you should walk away before you hurt him more. I couldn't hold back any longer. You don't get to decide what I do with my life. Then, with a chilling tone, Rose dropped a bombshell. You're not even a good daughter. Your father's in critical condition, but you're here. Panic shot through me. What are you talking about? What happened to my dad? My voice trembled. Rose's sneer deepened. Didn't you know? He's in critical condition. My heart pounded. and I felt a scream rise in my throat. The horses, sensing the tension, shifted uneasily. What happened to him? My dad's in New York, busy with work. Stop yelling, Rose snapped. You're spooking the horses. My father isn't going to die, I shouted, my voice breaking. The sudden burst of noise startled the horses, sending them into a frenzy. I was thrown from my mount, landing hard and injuring my shoulder, while Rose fainted on a running horse. Alex rushed to Rose's side, while I was paralyzed by fear and pain, my thoughts consumed by the news about my father. At the clinic, the doctor prepared to reset my dislocated shoulder. When he snapped it back, pain surged and I cried hard. Everyone doesn't know what to do, especially the men. Sim even left the clinic. Diana, Alex burst into the room, concern etched on his face. But anger boiled inside me. Did you know about my dad? Why didn't you tell me? The doctor intervened, urging me to stay still. We need to avoid permanent damage. I don't care. I need to see my father. Tears streamed down my face. All right, Alex said softly. I'll take you to Chicago. No, I wiped my tears, trying to regain some composure. My glare was icy. I can handle it myself. You stay here and take care of Rose. She's unconscious. She's fine now, he replied. I'll take you. I don't want you to. Diana, I said I don't want you to. Hayden, one of the twins, stepped in. I'll take you, he offered, as we walked toward the helicopter. Hayden tried to explain. You know, he began, his voice careful. Alex only rushed to Rose because she fainted, probably from fear. I don't care, I replied coldly. Really? I thought you might want to know. I don't, I snapped, my mind already miles away. Standing by the ICU window, worry twisted inside me as I watched over my father. My siblings had gathered close, and my brother Oliver's voice broke the silence. Dad didn't want you to know. He wanted you to enjoy your wedding day. Noah added he's had several heart attacks, but he hid it from you. The last one happened right after your wedding. The revelation hit me hard. You kept this from me. Why? Noah's tone was soft but firm. We didn't want you to suffer again like you did when Mom died. We were trying to protect you. Tears welled up as frustration bubbled over. I'm not a child anymore. I can handle it. Why didn't you trust me? My siblings hung their heads, guilt-ridden, all over their faces. Despite the pain, I hugged them. Their actions, though misguided, came from love. Later, I sat alone with my father in the ICU, whispering, I have my own business now, Dad. I wanted you to be proud of me. My voice wavered. I loved Alex, even if he didn't love me back. No regrets. Fear and emotions overwhelmed me. But I stayed close, afraid to leave his side. Gail, my sister-in-law, gently suggested, you need rest too. I'm fine, I insisted stubbornly. Suddenly, Alex appeared. His voice, soft yet firm, cut through my thoughts. What are you doing to yourself, Diana? I pulled away, frustration bubbling up. Leave me alone, Alex. You need rest, he urged. If your dad wakes up and sees you like this, it'll hurt him even more. His words struck a chord, making me pause. Let's go home, he said, wrapping an arm around me. I can walk, I protested, trying to pull away. But Alex held firm. No, you can't. Let me help you. I can. As we walked down the corridor, I tried to resist, but he wouldn't let go. Diana, you don't have to be strong all the time. Admitting you're tired doesn't make you weak. I am strong. You can't even walk straight. I just need coffee. What you really need is sleep. My vision blurred from days without rest, but I refused to close my eyes. My father needed me. I only agreed to go with Alex so I could change clothes. Take me home, Alex. Then you can leave. Thanks for everything. Who said I'm leaving? You ignored me for days. Why show up now? I stayed away to give you time with your family. That doesn't mean I stopped caring. I've been here every day, even if you didn't see me. Lies. I rested my head against his chest. You were here. I was. How else would I know you've been pushing yourself too hard? My siblings told you. No, I checked on you myself. I only missed 2 days because of work and your restaurant. Panic jolted through me. The restaurant. It's fine. I've been overseeing it. Everything's running smoothly. Relief flooded me. I'd been so consumed with worry about my father that I'd forgotten about my pride and joy. If Alex hadn't stepped in, it might have fallen apart. Why are you doing all this, Alex? What do you mean? Why are you still here? Why take care of me and the restaurant? Why stay by my side? Don't you know? My head hurts. He gently stroked my hair and kissed my head. You're the one giving me a headache, Alex. He laughed, a warm, genuine sound that sent a spark of strength through my exhaustion. We're alike. Then, you give me headaches too, he teased, a playful glint in his eyes. I'm here because I want to be. I care about you. The restaurant, it's part of who you are, and I want to protect it. and I stay by your side because I can't imagine being without you, Diana. You bring joy to my life. When I don't see you, I miss you. I want to hold you close. I want to be the only man you see, the only one in your world. You're asking for too much. If you write that letter to Santa, he'll skip our house. His laughter rang out again, lightening the heavy air. Despite my fatigue, his laughter gave me the strength I needed. See, this is why I always want to be by your side. You make me laugh like no one else. If you weren't the woman I married, I'd never have known this beautiful chaos. I stopped walking and looked at him, his handsome face, full of contradictions, kind yet grumpy, rude yet polite, annoying but sweet, chaotic, and I loved every single part of him. What do you mean? I asked, my voice soft. Isn't it obvious? No, he smiled. I'm saying I love you, and I want the whole world to know it. I love you, Mrs. Diana Young. When I first saw you in my office, right after Rose rejected me, the pain vanished. One look at you, and I felt alive again. I'll admit, at first, I used our marriage to get back at Rose. But when I saw you in your wedding dress, scribbling in your notebook, I thought, I'm about to marry this beautiful, unpredictable woman. And in that moment, I fell in love with you. Was I hallucinating? Lack of sleep, hunger, and stress must be playing tricks on me. I love you, Diana. Do you hear me? Yes. Do you understand me? This isn't just for a year. Forget that deadline. I want to spend my life with you. Share my home, my bed, my coffee, everything. Wait, hold on. I closed my eyes, trying to ground myself. I barely counted to 3 before opening them, afraid he'd disappear. I think I heard you say you love me. He leaned in, shouting playfully in my ear, I love you. Loud enough now. I think I'm going deaf. Not yet. His words lifted the weight off my shoulders. But, what about Rose? You loved her. She let it go. But even if she hadn't, I'd still have fallen for you. You're the one woman I couldn't avoid, no matter how hard I tried. Remember that night at Bliss Horizon, when I said I'd only been happy there with you? Yes, that was me trying to tell you. Maybe you missed the hints. Maybe. I stepped closer, looping my arms around his neck. But not now. I heard every word. I love you too, Alex. Even though you made me jealous whenever I saw you with Rose. Why didn't you say you didn't want us together? I had no claim to you, Alex. Our marriage was just your way of getting back at her. And you always mentioned the 1-year deadline. I thought you still loved her. I guess I didn't show you enough that my feelings changed long ago. Yeah, he smiled, pulling me into his arms. In the crowded hospital corridor, he kissed me deeply. In that moment, I understood when you truly love, there are no regrets. Life without love isn't really living. I couldn't even remember what movie that line was from. So what? I was content, wrapped in the arms of the man I loved. I love you, husband, I whispered between kisses. You're making me lose sleep. I love you too, wife, and I'll take care of your sleeplessness forever. Story ends. Thanks for listening. Make sure to visit our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this, show some love by hitting like, sharing it with someone you know, and subscribing so you can be part of this channel's journey. See you again for another silly story.